Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Kristen Donnelly, and I'm one of the good doctors of Abbey Research. I'd like to thank Authority Magazine for giving me an opportunity to share the 5 things that I think everybody can do to help grow emotional intelligence. Now, briefly, let me say that emotional intelligence is the practice of knowing your own worldview, history, opinions, and being constantly aware of them, and then holding them in tension with the worldview, opinions, feelings, etc. of others. It's that practice of knowing both things at once. And I think it's mandatory for moving forward in the world. So, 5 things everybody can do. The first one is to listen. I know this sounds really simple, but it's one of the hardest things I've found that most people struggle with, to be honest, because you can't just listen and pay attention to other things or be present while someone else is talking and simply wait for them to stop talking so that you can respond. No. Listening is a whole body, whole brain, whole soul experience. So you have to listen. Number 2, you're going to have to unlearn some things you thought about how the world works. The world changes, we change through stories and relationships. So as you listen to people and as you learn to hold their truth with your truth, you're going to run up against some stuff that you had never heard of before or that contradicts how you thought things worked. A classic example, you may be, as an American person or a North American person, you may be in a relationship or in a conversation with somebody who is First Nations, Indigenous, American Indian, however they identify themselves. And they may use a word like colonizer for you. And that goes directly against how you see yourself, your ancestors, and your personal history. You're going to have to unlearn necessarily, potentially, how you see yourself, at least for a minute, to let how they see you into your perception as well. Now, this is difficult and involves some emotional juggling, but fundamentally it's this: you have to be willing to unlearn things about how you thought the world worked. Number 3, please seek out opportunities to do life with people you don't already know. One of my classic examples is volunteering. Pick something, a cause you really love. We all tend to have something. If it's caring for animals, then there's probably a shelter that needs help caring for the animals, cleaning out their pens, doing volunteer work, fundraising, things as such. If you're really, really passionate about the environment, there is no shortage of nonprofits to get involved with. Education, child care, elder care, there's lots and lots of options. So if you do that and then get to know your fellow volunteers and the staff of the organization, the likelihood is that you have that one thing in common, but you may not have anything else. So getting to know people with a common point of knowledge and then kind of going from there. There's some people that do this through the PTA or other things at their kids' schools, and that could work too. To me, that's still volunteering. So a big piece, though, is getting your hands dirty together and accomplishing something together. It bonds you in a specific way, and it allows for conversations to occur a little bit easier. Number 4 is get to know yourself. This is a constant process. Very few of us are trained in the opportunity to constantly investigate ourselves. In social work, we call this being reflective. In academics, you have to know who you are to tell people what your worldview is before you start writing things. It's a discipline that I've been gifted in 2 different degree programs to be constantly trained in. And it's probably the thing that I got the most out of my education, besides training in how to listen. There's a balance here, let me say, between constantly knowing yourself and then beating yourself up for things or feeling ashamed of who you once were, and simply knowing what your priorities are. What are your non-negotiable things? What are the stories and values and entities in your life that are important to you? I am not talking about a self-flagellating tour of who you used to be that you don't like anymore. I'm talking about simply knowing who you are, being aware of it at all times, and continually doing that work. Which leads me to 5. You have to get rid of feelings of shame over past mistakes. They are not productive to you. They are not productive to relationships with other people. The phrase, I should have known better, is great for maybe 1 or 2 minutes. It's not good for 1 to 2 years. In business, when a product fails, A successful business doesn't sit around flagellating themselves over that failure. They have a meeting, they decide exactly what failed, what they can learn, and they move on to the next step. We all can learn a lot from that analysis. We all can learn a lot from that discipline. If you used racist language when you were a child, great, don't do it anymore. It's that simple. If somebody calls you out on it, apologize, say, that was wrong of me. I'm going to change my stuff. Don't get defensive and tell them that there's no way you could have known, because honestly, there's always a way you could have known. There's always a way. You just did. You were doing the best you could at that moment, at that time, as a child, as an adult in the conversation. You were doing the best you could. But the thing is, we can always do better. There's that tension of just resting in the fact that generally we mean well, but that doesn't mean we always do well. You're going to have to learn to just say, oh, okay, that wasn't great. I know what I did wrong. I'm never going to do it again. Get used to apologizing, get used to changing your mind, get used to being wrong. Those are all really, really key steps to developing emotional intelligence. The deeper emotional intelligence and the more practiced you are at it, and the more it is your entire posture of how you interact with the world, the more successful you'll be as a human, whatever that means for you. It's just kind of how the science works. I would love to continue this conversation with you in any way, shape, or form. All of my contact information is in the video below. And is in the below the video notes. You know what I meant. I again want to thank Authority Magazine for this incredible opportunity. And I wish for you grace as you train your deeper impulses of emotional intelligence. All the best, guys. Bye.